Tonight we're discussing The Leftover Woman by Jean Kwok. So I think everybody on here has already met. So we'll start. Did you like the book? Yes.
I thought it was good.
Yes.
It was interesting, different.
Jen, you were one of the ones that voted for it. Did you like it?
I had voted originally,
True. For the other one.
and then I was a little swayed. I was like in between, but this one sounded interesting. Yeah, I liked learning, about that side of like the back story of only, being able to have male children and the females would get, adopted or whatever, given away, and also how she was able to get to the United States. That was interesting. And like what were the, I guess, the bad guys that she gave
The
money
snakes,
to bring her over? The
snakeheads.
what?
Snakehead.
Snakeheads.
Snakehead,
Yes,
yeah.
the snakeheads. That was interesting too.
That was cool.
Just learning. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked it. It was a good
I was
story.
I was expecting more of like her, I guess from like reading like what the book was about, her with the mom and like the child in the middle. I feel like that didn't come towards like the end, right? Like, did
Like
you get
really
that
late.
from like the summary?
I didn't read the summary.
Oh.
I never read the summary.
Really?
I mean, you guys kind of explained it, but
Okay.
I thought, I don't know what I thought.
Was anybody else expecting more of like the two moms struggling
Yeah,
together?
I think the description made it seem like there was gonna be more of them like trying to figure out like, like who's the mom and who's not,
Yeah.
how does that all work out? I think it was like the way that it was brought out in the book was more of something that was in the adoptive mother's mind, right? Like there were kind of things that she felt a little jealous about, or she felt like insecure about the dynamic between, the nanny who she thought was the nanny and the little girl, um, because of their cultural connection and just the fact that she spent so much time with her versus the mom. But that's the only like place where I saw it play out.
Yeah, I was totally expecting the whole book to be like them struggling, like her showing up and wanting to take the kid and that
Yeah.
struggle. That's what I was expecting going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be more of a relationship between the two moms. I
So
wasn't sure it was going to be good or bad, but yeah, more about them.
I feel like it was a little bit more mysterious than I was expecting. Like especially the end, the little like kind of like thriller-esque.
Yeah, like the doll
Mhm.
with the.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That
It
was
got a little
creepy.
dark there for
Yeah, yeah, it did.
Like 2 chapters. Well, I mean, the thing that I did like about it, I mean, I am really a big fan of historical fiction genres. And so I felt that, kind of it touched on, the things that are going on in China with, the one daughter or one son, or one child kind of situation. And, her immigration to the United States, trying to get to, not the land of opportunity, what did they call it?
Beautiful place.
Yes, the beautiful place. And I think that's probably true, of a lot of immigrants and, coming to this country. So I felt that, while there was the tension between about the whole adoption and the child, it was, more about how she's trying to assimilate into America while trying to, get back her daughter.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
think that was what the most of the book was about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, I'm gonna skip ahead because you kind of hit on it. What did you guys think about Jasmine's experience as an undocumented worker in New York City, and how did it impact her relationship with the different classes? Or like, what did you think about her working at Opium?
Didn't it
I was.
I mean, I think that it speaks to the immigrant experience, right? Where people come to this country and they have to take jobs that sometimes they would never have envisioned doing in their countries, whether it's that they are doctors, in their country and they come here and they're servers or waiters or doing manual labor. In this case, it was something more illicit, right? Kind of like there was some illicit pieces to it, and clearly things that were compromising like her values and her body, perhaps. But I think it does speak to the fact that immigrants have to sometimes make these sacrifices, you know, to get by, right? Especially if you're illegal. Like one thing is if
Yeah.
you're a legal immigrant, but if you're an illegal immigrant, your choices are very slim in terms of how you can make money.
Yeah.
I think she was really scared too, you know, with the debt to the snakeheads, and she wanted like money now.
Yeah. Yeah. And she had the goal of getting her daughter, and like, you know, she thought she was gonna be able to like forge this new life. So it was like
Well, I didn't think she
fear.
was gonna go that route, like try to kidnap her like one day and be like, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
didn't
didn't
know.
think
Yeah,
she would.
that ending
Yeah.
was, or that part of the story was like, oh, is that what you were gonna
Oh,
do? And the fact that she
yeah.
was, I don't want to skip ahead, but that she was also like Jasmine, and the sitter was the were the
And
same. I had no
yes,
idea until
yeah.
obviously, you know, I kind of started suspecting, but I was like, whoa, like I didn't imagine that's where it was gonna go.
Christy, what were you gonna say?
No, there was definitely lots of like parts where you get the twist and you didn't expect. So I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. That gives me my toes. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't see that coming.
I liked that when
Exactly.
she took the job at Opium, she wasn't necessarily one of the sex workers, but she gave herself like the cocktail job or working at the bar. Like she kind of tried to
Yeah.
keep to her morals, thinking about her daughter the whole time, and wasn't just like, I'm giving it all up just for the money.
I think she was really smart, like her inner dialogue, the way she spoke to herself, you know, throughout the whole thing. I
Yeah.
thought it was good.
Um, the book's title, The Leftover Woman. I loved that quote in the book when they explained what that was. I was like, highlight that. Um, if you missed it, it's a Chinese phrase referring to women who are unmarried by their late 20s.
Mm.
So how does the title inform you as you like read along? And I mean, who is the leftover woman? It would be Jasmine. But are there multiple meanings to this title? Go, Jen. I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I thought before I knew what it actually meant, I just figured, you know, she was the leftover child that nobody wanted, so they sent her off to be adopted. Um, I mean, sorry, the daughter, the leftover woman, right, to be adopted, plus her as well being the woman. And I feel like she was also never really heard. She thought she loved the husband, and she thought, you know, but I feel like she was so young, and, you know, losing so many babies, like that's got to take a toll, you know, something like they made her kind of like seem like she was a little off, like a little crazy to go to that
Especially at
point
such a
to do those
young age.
things.
What'd you say?
At such a young age, like you say, having all those
Such a young
babies.
age. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how they paired them off so early. I've been watching the getting out of polygamy documentary show on HBO, and it's kind of the same thing. Like they pair up these young girls at like 14 and 15 with these way older men, and their job is just to give them more kids.
Did
I would
anybody ever read the Circle of Ladies, Mrs. Tan's Circle of Women, or something like that? Lady Tan's Circle of Women? You like historical fiction?
know.
That was an amazing story of Chinese culture, of the feet binding, the whole how they have mistresses that live in their home for the husbands. Like it was really, really good.
What is it
Mistresses live
called?
in the home.
Lady Tan's Circle of Women. Yes, mistresses that live in the home that are hired by the wife, by the first wife, by the original.
Hires
She
them.
runs everything. Yeah, like she will have them live in the house and then continue to even have like children by him, but that are not, you know, the legitimate heirs, but they are, you know, in line, and they all live in the homes together.
What is the point of
Yeah,
the
that's
wives
interesting.
hiring mistresses?
So, well, that's not the point of the book. That's just part of like the
Oh,
culture that they explain, you know, about the history. But the point of the book is that women were not respected to be anything higher than just to bear children. But the Lady Tan, her grandmother, was like a medicine woman. So they considered her like a doctor because male doctors could not see female patients. They would have to have someone in between, like a curtain, to messenger or to do certain things. And she became very respected, like a woman of medicine, and then people would go to her, and then she passed it on to her daughter, Lady Pam. And then, it's her circle of women. It's really good.
That sounds
I
really
highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you go back a few generations, even in the US, even though we don't think of ourselves as like women,
Well,
we're
this is in the 1800s.
yeah. But
Or,
I mean,
or
even if you
maybe
think, like
turn of the century.
20s, 30s, 40s, like the women really didn't have jobs. Their jobs were to create a family and create a household. So although we try to see it like outside of the stigma of what we're reading, like if you go back in our history, we weren't too far behind.
Not that long ago. Yeah.
What effect did reading the prologue have for you going into the book? Did you like it? Did it like cause
I
you to
don't
think?
remember.
Okay. I feel like they didn't reference it too much. When they wrote the letter that she got, I think it must have been from when? Like apologizing for what he did.
I don't remember it.
Well, the follow-up
I read
question,
it a while ago
would the novel have read differently without it? I guess not, because nobody really remembers
because
it.
nobody remembered
The
it. What
letter,
was it
but
again?
say that again, Michelle,
It
the
was like
letter
the
that who?
prologue before like the story starts that she's reading like a note, and they
Oh,
never
okay.
say who's reading it or who it's from. I
Mhm.
assumed it was when to Jasmine.
For Jasmine, yeah.
Was it the letter from the adopted dad? Why am I having I'm blanking out now. What's his name? The adopted dad.
Brandon?
Brandon, the letter he
Brandon.
wrote?
I don't know who wrote it. I didn't pick up on that. Was it him? The one in the
There
beginning?
was a letter. I can't remember at what part that I felt that it was from Brandon to Jasmine, but then that totally threw me off because then he didn't know that like telling Jasmine, okay, like she'll be able to like
I
work
think it
for
was
them.
No, I
I
don't
think
think
it was
it.
when.
I just pulled it up. Yeah, because it says my beloved.
I
Yeah.
think it
It
was
starts
the
with my
husband,
beloved,
like the dad.
like
And
the
now that you
original
brought up
husband.
Brandon, did anyone else think that he knew about it all along until the end?
I did at one
No.
point think, oh, he knew. Like when things started getting kind of dicey towards the end and all the, the doll and the breaking in and all that, I was like, is he informed about kind of the circumstance of how they got the child? But obviously at the end he wasn't. But yes, there was a part where I thought maybe he did know.
I thought about it since they said that they were friends. I was like, oh, he gave him the baby. Like I thought about it the whole time.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised that he didn't know at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he knew and that he kept them updated, at least with Ben.
Yeah, I thought he knew, but his wife didn't know.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of Jasmine, and how did you sense her character changing throughout the story? And when did you start rooting for her the most?
I mean, I really thought she was a victim. I mean, she, had the arranged marriage at 14. I mean, and she, I think, tried as best she could. And she did say, she loved Wen. But then he was just such a jerk time and time again, that, she kind of fell out of love. And then certainly when she found out that, he said that their daughter was, died, and then actually, she found out that, she was adopted and living in America. I think she became very resilient and strong, as she matured. I mean, a 14-year-old girl getting married to, I don't know, how old was he? 28?
Yeah, he was like 10 years older or something like that.
And I think clearly he took advantage of her and her emotions, because she, obviously, she didn't have a good, childhood. I mean, she wasn't loved. And I think she sought that out a lot. And, then when she, was really rejected by Anthony, she had no choice but to try and make it work with him. And I think she really did try.
I agree. Until, I mean, she was like abused too.
Yes. Oh, totally.
What did you guys think about Anthony's family
Anthony,
proposal, or her family's proposal to her when she was younger?
he didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the whole time he thought she left him. That was kind of sad.
Yeah, and then he saw her and pretended like no big deal.
Mhm.
But wore the bracelet all those years. That was so cute.
I know, that part was so sweet.
Yeah.
At one point, I thought that he was the one that like caused the raid at Opium when he said that he knew she was there. I was like, oh, he's trying to protect her, like get her out of there.
Mm.
How would you describe the differences in the characters' attitudes towards motherhood?
Mm.
Well, the adopted mother actually obviously changes her thinking from the beginning to the end of the book, because she was, a nanny, disconnected, not giving her all the attention that the daughter wanted. But I think, she felt that when she saw that the daughter was connecting more with the nanny, or Jasmine or whatever. And she chose to take off from her job in that crucial moment. So I think she showed, that she really does care about the daughter.
It was
For
interesting to
so
see how even with like Jasmine felt that, her adopted mother wasn't really loving and didn't really care about her. And by the end, she realized that she did. It's just
yeah.
different styles. But
Right.
but that she definitely loved her, and that realization at the end was really good.
Well, culturally, it's different from like what Jasmine is probably used to seeing in her own town or village, of a mother's role to like coming to New York and having a corporate mom working and balancing it all with money, who can have a nanny and a big penthouse. Like it's a whole different lifestyle of what she sees mothering to be.
Mhm.
And I think that the you know the battle between working moms and stay-at-home moms, even with that, I mean, she was a high-powered executive, and while she clearly loved her daughter, her job was a great source of her identity, and she wanted to be a good daughter to her mother and show her own mother that she was successful. And so it was kind of a very hard, I think, situation, because while she loved her daughter, she really wanted to be a career woman. And, I mean, that's hard for women, anytime.
I agree. I liked at the end of the prologue how it says like she was like sacrificing so much of herself to like get up in her job, in her career, acquiring new novels, and then she like when something big and drastic and bad happens, she leaves it all behind and starts her own thing and like has more time for her family. And even like in the prologue, the relationship between her and her husband that they described in the prologue, I would have never imagined it throughout the book. Like they seemed so disconnected.
Mm.
Did anybody get that? Did anybody like them together as a couple?
In the beginning, yeah, they looked disconnected, but then we saw that, their actual relationship, which I didn't understand why she wasn't more straightforward about what happened in that picture, that nothing really happened versus making it bigger than what it was. And she really didn't like explain it or talk to him about it.
Yeah.
So that threw me off, because then we realized what a great relationship they had. And then that happened and they didn't really communicate about it, like talk about it.
I think they were like both assuming, because she thought he was having an affair, he thought she was having an affair. It's kind of like,
Exactly.
And Babine was a strong character. She is. She didn't try to defend herself. That they were flirting versus,
although I wouldn't like flirting.
So that
But I
it's very
think
so bad. But she didn't. They didn't. Take it to the next level, which I think she should have really defended herself about that.
But I think probably in her mind, she obviously felt guilty about it. And
Yeah.
so she couldn't really defend it wholeheartedly because in her mind, she did break that trust. And, so then, I think because she did it herself, she started to mistrust him over, small innuendos that, the condom that fell out of the bag. And instead of being able to be honest because she felt her own guilt, that I think that that's why she wasn't able to confront him like normal kind of saying, listen, what's going on? I see this, because she kind of did something herself, not all the way, but it was kind of a break
Yeah.
of trust.
Anybody else? Welcome, Michelle. I see you're on now. Everyone is here now. How did you react to the twist about Lucy's character? Did anybody see that coming?
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No, glad you're here.
Actually went back and started to reread parts. Wait a minute. I missed
Wait.
I missed something here.
Anybody see it coming? No.
No, like I knew that there was something really weird about the nanny that wasn't adding up. And then I was like, what is happening with Jasmine? And like, how is she gonna find her daughter? And then something like right before it was revealed, something like that occurred to me. And then they revealed it, and I was like, of course,
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
this when you texted me the book is really good?
Yes.
Yeah, same. I didn't realize until already before
Right before,
we
yeah.
disclosed, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this whole time it was the same person. But
I did not see that coming. I was like reading on Kindle and doing audio, and at that point I was doing audio and I was like, wait, was I dazed off? What did I miss? Rewind a minute. Like I did not see that coming at all. And it was really cool. But then like following, I was like, are they referring to her as Jasmine? Are they referring to her as Lucy? Like she still was using both names.
yeah.
I like that she was able to see her daughter grow up and spend time with her, even without telling her who she was, even though it was kind of like sketchy, but like putting myself in her shoes, like that was nice that she was able to do that.
Absolutely. I think it also speaks. I think somebody earlier had mentioned like, oh, I didn't realize she was gonna like kidnap her. I mean, these are serious things, right? Like she went into their home under false pretenses. She was planning to kidnap. But then I think to your point, like it speaks to like you can't judge, because if you were in that position or I was in that position, who knows what we would do, right? In terms of trying to like be with our child, or like especially since she had no part in making the decision of having her daughter be adopted. Like
Like
she
she
was
thought she was
completely
dead. Like
yeah,
she probably saw that email, saw that she was alive, and was like desperate to get to her. Like whatever.
absolutely. Yeah.
They also made her seem like in the eyes of the adoptive mother, like if she was dumb or like not able to do things the right way, or kind of like awkward, and the way she dressed too, they made her seem like she wasn't smart or with it or knew what was happening. I
But
don't know, but then when you heard her or her and the adoptive father communicate, it was more like they made that dialogue like more interesting, like made her interesting. So it had the both sides. So I was like, could this be the same person? Because when I see her as Lucy, she seems like somebody all drabby and like, oh, let's take the kid, like not this interesting person.
I think
That's Jasmine.
I agree with you, but I think it was because we were seeing Lucy or Jasmine through the eyes of like an executive who's rich,
Exactly.
in a high-powered position, who has this like helper who barely speaks English, watching her kid. I'm like, how many people can we put in that situation? And instead of speaking Chinese,
Exactly.
it's Spanish.
Yeah, and they played that role perfect.
And I think in one part, she actually says it. She says, oh my gosh, like I've been basically, like stereotyping her and belittling her because,
Exactly.
so I think she admitted that that's what she was doing. And I think there was a part where Lucy/Jasmine says that she purposely was trying to like downplay herself so that they didn't give her too much attention. Like she didn't want to get a lot of attention from them. So she was kind of like minimizing
Well,
herself.
she would like dress drabby on purpose and like covered
Mhm.
her body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that when you're in that position and you don't have papers and you're just trying to keep your job, you probably, women or men, probably do belittle themselves to not cause attention.
Yeah.
I wish we had the author here to like get her side.
I
She was kind
know.
of
This would have been
kind
an
of
interesting
risky.
one
She
to
was really
see her.
risky. I feel like she took a lot of risks with, you know, not trying to, you know, trying to lay low, but she
Yeah,
was doing crazy things. I
I
was like,
mean,
wow, I can't believe she just did that.
Yeah.
paid like Chinese mafia to come over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we kind of touched upon this, but if anybody has anything else to say, I think Michelle wasn't on when I had asked before. The relationship between Rebecca and Brandon. Would you consider them a strong couple? And I don't agree with this part of the question. I got it from like their reader's guide. Why do you think Lucy comes between them? I don't think she really comes between them. Like I think it
I
was
feel
on
like,
Rebecca's head, but she didn't really like do anything to come between them.
yeah.
That's
You
what
guys
I was
remember
gonna
that
say. It was
first
all in her
party?
head. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
You guys
first
remember
party,
that?
what?
Yeah, the first party when I felt like she was kind of using him like as an accessory, like, hey, come here, come charm
Mhm.
my people, come speak all your languages and do your charming thing, you know? Like if he
Yeah.
was like almost like arm candy or something, but I feel like he was like obsessed with her. Like
Yeah.
he loved her so much and he would always, you know, but that's just the way I felt. Like he loved her more than she appreciated him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think the dynamic was off, like the power dynamic. And then she was kind of so, it was beyond just like, oh, I'm, a professional and I'm a mother and I have all these roles and I should be able to kind of have them all. It was more of like, she was so focused on living up to her dad's legacy that was very consuming for her. So it was less so about, oh, I want to, succeed and I love my job and I enjoy it. It was more like I need to, get under the shadow of my dad, or, I need to like kind of supersede his legacy or at least meet his legacy. So I think that was something
Yes.
all consuming. And I think to your point, like I don't think she valued him as much because she was so laser focused on her end goal in terms of her profession.
Yeah. Like making the little girl go do ballet and try go to that
Mhm.
professional class and all that.
Yeah.
Just
I
trying to
was
make like a mold.
yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, like just how she kind of used Brandon as an accessory in that dinner, she did the same with the
You
daughter
same to a
at
daughter.
ballet because she
Exactly.
wanted to
Yep.
connect with that other lady and
Well, she went through her
Yeah.
birthday party just to connect with some lady.
Yeah.
yes.
I think she could have done more of an effort to try to even learn a little bit of the language too, you know, because obviously the connection between the adoptive father and the little girl was
Mhm.
more, I don't know, I don't want to say like more love, but more of a connection. Like he tried harder to fit her into the, to fit into her culture, make her feel comfortable.
Well, I think because he spoke Chinese, it was and that was his profession, being a
Yeah.
professor at Columbia, I guess. Was it Columbia?
Mhm.
I guess so, yeah.
That he, had studied the Chinese culture and he had a lot of Chinese, friends, it seemed. And of course, that's how he, eventually got their daughter. But I think I think it's like anytime, people of upper class have, help. Obviously, Rebecca's mother was very class structure oriented and, tried
Right.
to tell her how to deal with her help and, you don't get too close to him. You don't, you have that line. And I mean, she was kind of strictly the hired help. It wasn't even like she tried to have her, be part of the family. It was like she is the caretaker. She cooks our dinner. She, cleans our house, I mean, and
Yeah.
that's her role. Her role is not to be, part of our family. which I would have them like, oh, we're all eating dinner together. Let's go on vacation together, you know.
Sort of like what Rebecca
Yeah.
tried to do at one point, that she like invited her over,
Yeah, she didn't
but
want to.
she kind of said, no, that's your family time.
Right.
I think she was completely different than the way her mom saw the help as.
Yes. Right.
My next question. When did Jasmine, let's think about like taking the baby, all of that. Why do you feel he could do this, and why does he think Jasmine owes him? I don't think she owes him. Maybe because he didn't kill the baby, but
I don't think she.
Well, say the question again.
consider what Wen did to Jasmine. Why did he feel he could do this? And what does he think Jasmine owes him?
I think he did it because of the one child rule, right? Like that's why, and back then the families really only valued the male babies,
An
and
heir.
so yeah, and because of the whole name and the heir and all of that, and so it's not that I don't think he felt he could do it. That's why he did it in secrecy, right? He can, but he said, I have to do this because this is not the child we're going to stay with, and he wanted he wanted a boy.
Yeah, he was also part of the military, so I think it might have been like easier for him to sneak her out of the country, probably.
True.
The owing part, the only thing I can think of is that she didn't die. Like he didn't have her killed, and he gave her up for adoption. At least he gave her to a friend. Like he
To
knows
like a good family, you know, and put her in
How
a
much
good
money?
home.
How much money did he make from that?
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't go into it, but I'm sure,
Yeah.
you know, with just
There was
how
something.
he was, that, you know, I mean, yes, he wanted a son, but he was also, I think, he felt that he was superior to Jasmine, I think, certainly because he was older and he, you know, had multiple mistresses. And so it was just, I think, part of his culture and the way that he thought, you know, women should be subservient, you know, to him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. My last question, and I mean, we have anything else to say, but do you guys think Rebecca and Brandon were good parents? And also, actually, the prologue, what did you think about it when you saw where her life ended up? Fifi's life.
When you say
The epilogue,
the
sorry.
epilogue, okay,
Epilogue,
okay,
sorry.
because I keep thinking about the letter that you said was the prologue. So in the epilogue.
Yeah, the parents, I think we kind of like touched upon it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What ended up happening with Anthony? Did they say that she was going to go back to China and then she would come back
well, the
like in a
epilogue
few years, or?
shows Fifi as 21 looking into a window of a house that she was like,
Oh, that's right.
and they're
And she's
carrying
like,
a
these are my
baby. So
sisters or brothers or something. She
I
said,
assumed it was
yes.
like Lucy and Anthony.
And Anthony, that's exactly what, yes, you're right. Yes.
I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully
agree.
there's
I
another
agree.
book that they'll do
But when
based
it
on.
ended, I was like, what happened? I want to know where her life ends up.
I mean,
Mhm.
I think that, you know, how, you know, it all ended, you know, with the gunshot and the fight and everything. And I think have Jasmine deciding to go back to China and, you know, I mean, I guess she went back. It didn't really go into it, but I'm assuming that she went back and then she was able to come back years later legally. But I mean, I think that, you know, as a mother, for her to leave her child after, you know, coming to the States illegally with a plan to try and get her and be with her, I think it was a huge sacrifice on her part. But she realized that Rebecca and Brandon were good parents and that they loved her daughter and her daughter loved them. And so I think, given that she was in no position at all, with no money, no job, nothing, to be able to take care of her, she made the ultimate sacrifice in her child's future. And then, you know, her child, you know, grew up at 21. And, you know, I mean, I think a lot of adopted kids look for their real parents and want to know why. Why was I given up? Why? And I think, but having Jasmine Lucy really leave her there was a huge sacrifice and says a lot about her character.
Yeah. And that now it was like her choice. It wasn't like put upon her.
Yeah.
Liked that part too. Anyone else? No?
I thought they would have helped her more, like, and they would, like, she would have stayed a part of her life. That Jasmine would have stayed a part of her daughter's life. Maybe not, like, I don't know. I
Well,
don't know.
it
I
said,
thought that Brandon and Rebecca would help her out more, and things would work out where she would watch her grow up.
it did say that she knew that her mom wrote letters to somebody and sent her pictures, but I don't know if she was like over for Christmas or like birthdays. And maybe she couldn't come back. Like, we don't know. Can we take our group picture? I think if Zoom kicks me off, I will send you all another link. Because it is like counting.
Oh, is it 45 minutes now? Is that how they do it? Is it 45?
I will send you all a link if we get kicked off. One,
Or are they coming back on?
three. Got it. And our next book, if anybody has a preference for the first or second Tuesday of November, let me know because I will confirm with her tomorrow. But it is The Trail of Lost Hearts. It is a rom-com since we asked for some last book club. I think we haven't read any this year, and the author will be joining us.
Nice.